Yo, what's up, guys? It's Shujin here, and welcome to another episode of. I haven't started this officially yet, but Shujin Shorts, where I just do like a short video on a topic or theory or anything that falls into the playlist already made in categories. So this is gonna be a theory video on, you guessed it, because you read the title, Little Nightmares, and it's what I think the whole. I'm not gonna say meaning of the game, but the story of the game is, like a little quick rundown of what I think the story is, like outside. Let me rephrase that. The lore of the game. What I think the lore of the game is going to be, or is actually now. Now, I'm going to warn you now, spoilers ahead for Little Nightmares 2 if you haven't played it or seen gameplay already. So, you got that warning. If you haven't played it or you want to see it, click off now. Most people already do by now anyway. So, anyway, let's get into it. So, if you play Little Nightmares 2, once you reach the city, I believe it is, you start seeing some weird stuff, such as... Well, I'm going to say, this is what you're going to see. It's going to be, one, you're going to see the city is all ripped apart and torn, like it has crevices in between the cities. There's clothes just sitting around in random places, like people were there and their bodies just disappeared or evaporated. And then you also get to see one particular scene of what would have been a hanging man, but his clothes were empty. So it's empty clothes hanging where a hanging man would have been. And I was watching Corey Kenshin yesterday in his Little Nightmare video. And he said something that initially I just brushed off because he said it as a joke, but when I thought about it, it actually made more sense. And it's that the lore of Little Nightmares, what happened to all the people and why everybody is so weird and messed up looking, is because what we are seeing is the after effects of the Rapture. Now, for those of you who don't know or aren't religious, such as myself, you'll know, well, here's what the Rapture is. The Rapture is basically the second coming of, was it Jesus or God, one of the two, in which all true believers will literally shed their clothes and just go up to heaven. Like, well, some people say you're gonna float there, some people say you're gonna teleport there. I don't really know, but basically you're gonna shed everything behind. So, such as in Little Nightmares, you see if somebody was just about to hang themselves, but they were good enough, a true believer enough to go to heaven, their clothes will be left behind, such as hanging in a noose, and your body will be flown up to heaven or teleported to heaven. And with that being said, it makes me, because you do got to think about it, you don't really see that many people in Little Nightmares. I mean, of course, in Little Nightmares 1, you saw all those, like, heavy cannibal people, and then was it the dame, whoever it was, the person who led them all? But you don't really see much, I'm going to say normal people. Unless you want to, I guess, count the dude whose legs we saw who hung himself on the mall, but we don't really see his face, so you can't really count him. Unless you just want to for whatever reason. But basically, here's what I think happened. And because some point in the distant past, because this had to be a lot of years in the future, the Rapture happened. Okay, all true believers were sent up to heaven. Okay, yeah, just bear with me because it's gonna be a little bit of an off theory, which is why we see a lot of just empty clothes and shoes and all that stuff just hanging around. Like people just disappear while they were in the middle of doing stuff. Like somebody running on the road and their clothes are just sitting there on the road because we don't know what happened to them. They just disappeared. And the people we see left behind are either demons, or which is why they have such weird appearances and weird powers. Like the woman, like the teacher in Little Nightmares 2, can extend her neck really far, or the telephone people who, well, they haven't showed up in the game yet. I haven't seen them, but are like a hive mind, or they could be the distant, I'm going to say, descendants of humans who, I'm going to say, were reshaped to fit their sins. Like, because, well, in biblical terms, sinning is bad and it's ugly, or whatever you want to say, it's ugly. So they were literally turned ugly and deformed, and all their offspring are. However, if you have seen the ending to Little Nightmares 2, you'll see that Mono grows up to become an adult. And I mean one of the tall ones, which you might think is weird, seeing as excuse me, all the kids in the game that we have seen that are normal are very, very small and look normal like that. So what it could be is, because you know how to say every person is born pure. Since all the kids in Little Nightmares are born pure, they look normal. Or I don't know why they're small, I can't tell you that one, but because they're born pure, they look normal, have normal bodies and all that stuff, normal appearances, and you see how in Little Nightmares 1 they are all they're all caged up and such, either A, to be prepped to be eaten, or B, are prepped to become sinners like themselves, like the adults, so they become like the adults in terms of ugly and grow old and all that stuff. Now, I don't know how much weight this holds. It's just a little something I thought of this yesterday and today together when I was thinking about Corey Extension's video and how it kind of made sense. Because, like I said, in the crevices in the city, though, for all we know, those could have been hell gates where the world split open and the demons came out that we see in the game, like the teacher, or who knows. Now, one more theory I do have on top of this is, why do the kids, if they're supposed to be like different than the people, can grow up to become like humans? Like I said, at the end of the game, Mono grows, the main protagonist of Little Nightmares 2. He, at the end of the game, he sits in a chair and we see cuts through the years as the years go by of him growing up to become, well, in my theory is he's the guy from, well, that doesn't make sense, but he grows up to become a tall, lengthy man in a hat. We don't really see his face anymore. But he looks relatively normal, honestly, except maybe like a little bit of a phone person because his physique. But my theory is, like I said, at the end of the game, he is betrayed by 6 and just left to die. So it could be that he fell into the metaphorical pit of despair, and I'm going to say he became, I'm not going to say became a sinner, but he became evil. And because of that, he started to grow up and grow, I'm going to say, okay. He started to grow up, become quote unquote ugly, like the humans that we see, the grown-ups. And thus, well, that's how they continue. I feel like the way to continue their species is by turning the kids into themselves. So they can be like, okay, we're about to die. Next generation, have the kids, make them evil. They'll grow up to become the next us. And then the ones that do get away, we see like Mono and 6. Well, I can't really say what happens to them yet. We have, maybe in the third installment of Little Nightmares we'll find out. But that's just my little theory that Little Nightmares is the after effects of the Rapture, and the adults we see are either demons or the descendants of turned humans that were sinners that were left on Earth. And the reason that everyone that we see is evil is because they're the descendants of sinners or demons, and like I said, they're demons. And then while we see all the clothes looked around, the people who were true believers got lifted up to heaven, and the crevices we see in the city were former hell gates that I guess at some point stopped. I don't know why. If they were hellgates, I don't know why they would have closed up, but who knows. Anyway, that's going to be enough for this video of Shujin Shorts. I know it was really short, all over the place theory video. Well, not even really short, but I know it was an all over the place theory video, and I apologize. However, that's what you get with me. Sometimes you might get a fluent video, sometimes you might get a tangent video, sometimes you might get a whatever video this is. So anyway, I will see you guys in the next one. Shujin out. Peace.